Morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're at. My name is
Hello.
Bjorn. I'm in Minnesota. It is afternoon here. Zach, I have Zach with me. Zach, you're in Philadelphia. It's afternoon there. What's the weather like?
It's afternoon as hell. Weather has been good. It's actually
Weather?
sunny, beautiful. I'm loving it right now. So hopefully
Sweet.
for you guys too.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'll just say welcome to everyone. Feel free. The chat is public and it's open. So feel free to drop in where you're calling in from. Have some exciting information to go over regarding a couple of new features and some really cool benefits to a particular publication called Retire Well. And with that, Zach, maybe I'll just let you maybe do some setup and talk
yeah.
about how retiring well fits into a broader marketing plan or marketing strategy, and then I'll go into some of the specifics. And then at the very end, we have a really unique special offer. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome. Super excited to have you on today. As Bjorn said, the chat's open. So if at any point you have any questions, running into any issues, you can drop it into the chat. And then we've got Jonathan behind the scenes here, who just put into the chat as well. So he'll mark that as a question. Happy to answer it for you today. So there's really two things that we're going to cover, as Bjorn mentioned. Number one is we're going to talk about the magazine itself and everything that's included, and we're going to get into that. But as he alluded to, one of the most important things about understanding how to leverage this magazine is why you should even think about it in the first place, how it fits into the grand scheme of your business and what you're doing. So before I jump into that, I figured it'd probably be good just to introduce myself a little bit more here, on who I am, what I do, and why I'm talking to you about this today. So I am the VP of Sales here at Essential Engine. And I've before that, for more than a decade now, I've been working with entrepreneurs in the professional services industry, helping them build their brands, grow their marketing, tell their stories, do all sorts of things. And so having the opportunity now to work with Essential Engine and the 5-star award program has just been absolutely amazing because of what it does. And one of those things, and what we're going to talk about here is really the foundation of not just this award, but how your business works. And then hopefully what I hope you walk away with today is not just an understanding of a product, but an understanding of how you can build your marketing in a way that builds trust. So let's talk about why that matters. First and foremost, I am sure you would agree, because again, I've worked with thousands of clients all over the world now. And tens of thousands of clients here through Essential Engine. Here's the reality, right? Your business is built on relationships, right? You are in the relationship business. And here's what else we know: relationships are built on trust. Okay. And so that's the foundation of everything else that we're talking about today, and why a magazine, particularly like Retiring Well, and some of the things and the features and benefits that you have in that magazine. Like, we'll talk through custom pages and all sorts of things that you can use to accomplish this very mission, right? Helping you to build trust in your marketplace. And then ultimately build and maintain those relationships. So before we get started, one of the things that I want to talk about here too, and I typically bring this up a little bit later, but I think it'd be good to bring it up now, is a study that was done by a guy back in the 90s. And his name was Dunbar, and it's called Dunbar's number, Dunbar's rule. But basically what he did is, through a study, try to determine a finite number of relationships that we can keep in our brains at any one point in time. Okay. So why is that important? Well, it's important because what he found, and subsequent studies have found too, depending on, how they've done it, is that we can only maintain a certain number of relationships in our brain at any period of time. Right. And so his number was 150. There have been other numbers that are more or less, or somewhere in that ballpark. But why is that important for you as a business owner? Well, what is business, again, if it's not about the building and maintaining of relationships? And so if relationships are the foundation, if you're not doing what it takes to help build and maintain those, then you're going to get replaced, because we can only keep so many, right? And so you don't, as a business owner, want to be the 151st relationship, right? Because then you kind of pop out the other side. And so what we're talking about here today, and the foundation that we're laying, is how to build trust in your marketplace in a way that consistently can keep you top of mind and position you as an authority, and do the things that you need to do to solidify your space in your prospect and client's brain. So, okay. one of the things that I feel like is really important to talk about here, again, relationships are built on trust, and it's very clear on some level that our markets have a trust gap. Now, I'm not saying that you're not trustworthy, right? You guys work with people's businesses, their homes, their finances, their wealth that they've grown, whatever it may be, right? And so on some level, your clients obviously trust you, right? So we're not talking about the fact that you're not trustworthy, but what we are saying is that what we believe and what we understand about how our clients trust us is actually different than what they would say is also true. And so this study that PwC did showed that of all the business executives that they had interviewed, 90% of them believed that customers highly trusted them or their company. When they asked those same customers, though, only 30% of them actually did highly trust them. Right. And so again, it's not about you being trustworthy, but it's about how do you understand your market and how you bridge this gap of trust. Okay. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what that is. One of the things that I'd like to also talk about here is this idea of trust, right? It's based on this idea that the market out there is more and more complicated than it has been, right? People are more skeptical. We live in the information age, right? And so it's really easy for us to be able to look somebody up on our phones, right? We walk around with computers now. And so even when I get a referral, if somebody is referring somebody to me, I can take a millisecond, hop onto my phone and check that person out. And so how you show up and how your brand is and how your brand is perceived, that first impression that you have is really, really important in being able to help you to establish trust in the marketplace. Here's one more study that I'll point out to you that probably solidifies this even further. This was done by Texas Tech. And so a lot of the clients that I work with and the people that I talk to say, well, look, I primarily work off of referrals, right? I don't do a ton of marketing. I'm really just primarily working off of referrals. Here's what ties this trust gap all together right here. Their study found that 83% of satisfied customers, okay, so satisfied customers will say that they'd be willing to refer a product or a service, you, right? But only 29% of them actually do. So think about your list, think about the hundreds of clients that you've worked with over the years, thinking of all of those people. On average, only 29% of them are actually referring you to their friends or family members, right? So what is that? What is that we're talking about here? Well, it's trust. The gap right here between a satisfied customer into a referring customer is this trust gap that we're talking about right now. Because if you think about it, even think about it for yourself, right? The trust that it takes for me to take a risk with somebody else is very different than the trust that's needed for me to tell somebody else to take a risk with their house, with their funds, with their assets, right? And so what we do when we say that we work in a referral based business is we are asking our clients to be our sales and marketing department. We're asking them in some ways to kind of stick their neck out on behalf of us. And so if we don't give them full confidence in their ability to be able to do that, if we aren't consistently staying top of mind, if we aren't doing the things that help them show that we are the authority in our space, it makes it really, really difficult for that trust that they need to make the referral to be there. Okay. All right. So how do we fix that? What are we talking about here? How do we address this? What we came up with and what we've discovered really, again, after 25 years of being in business, working with tens of thousands of clients just like you, is that there really is a marketing success formula. There's a formula here that when applied to your business, helps you to be able to build trust in your marketplace. And it comes down to these two things: authority and authenticity. So I'll cover these, albeit briefly here. So authority number one is why somebody should choose you. These are your credentials. These are awards, accolades. Obviously the 5-star professional award is a big part of what we do too. So anything that helps differentiate you in the market space and really be able to help you stand apart from the competition, because the majority of competition is out there saying a lot of the same things. I serve my clients well. I've been in business for X number of years. I care about them, and I don't just care about selling them a product, right? All those different things is what everybody else is saying too, right? And so again, you only get one chance at a first impression. And so authority is a great way to not only give that best first impression, but also helps you to maintain that level of trust and that side of trust.
A cool exercise, Zach, that some people might find benefit in doing would be
Yeah.
like actually asking themselves, why would someone choose me? The answer that question, why would someone choose me? And don't allow yourself to put down like what everybody says, which is I'm a great communicator. I'm I put my clients, interest first, all the like the what we would call table stakes, right?
Hmm.
And so like because I think it's just an interesting challenge to think about like what are your true differentiators and why someone would choose you. Why are they going to pick you versus someone else? Start with that question, why? Because I think that is building on that authority, and then like I'll let you keep going, and I'm sure
No,
you'll
that's great.
yeah.
No, that's a great question to be thinking through here, because here's the other thing, right? When we say those things, I'm a good communicator, I always follow up with my clients, I do this, I do that, I do this. All of those are things that happen once the relationship has been formed as well, right? Those are all relationship maintaining things.
Sure.
But what gets you that initial conversation? What gives them the confidence to make the referral in the first place so you can have that conversation? Again, I've been doing this for many years, and oftentimes I would talk to somebody, I'd be like, listen, and you can ask yourself the same question. If you had a qualified prospect sitting down across the table from you, what's your close rate? And most of them would say 60%, 80%. Like, if I can actually sit down and talk to somebody and give them the chance to hear what I have to say, to understand what they're really looking for, and showing how I can provide a solution to their problem, I'm going to close that deal 80% of the time, right? Because they had a chance to know me and know what I'm all about. The problem is, how do you get them to sit across that proverbial table, right? And so that's a lot of what authority can do for you. It captures their attention, it creates interest, it positions you as the authority, and gives them the confidence to take the next step, which is to sit down in that seat, right? But that's not really what or all of what we're talking about today. In fact, we're talking about the next level of this, which is authenticity. This is why, so why they choose you maybe over here, but why they choose you is where authenticity comes into play. This is where your marketing starts to create real personal connections and really allows you to continue to stay top of mind with your prospects. Something like this magazine, right? Something that's powerful, it's tangible, it's consistent. So again, we'll talk about how relationships are built on trust, but they're also built on consistency, right? My wife tells me that all the time, right? I need to be consistent, right? Consistent in quality time, consistent in doing these things and those things. Like, consistency is also key. And so, like we were talking about with Dunbar's rule earlier, we live in a celebrity culture. Whether we like that or not, the reality is we live in a celebrity culture. Well, why? Because the way that our brains are wired, and I could geek out on this for a while, and so I'll spare you the science and the history behind it. But the way that our brains are wired is that we are wired for relationship, and we are wired to form relationships with people. I'll show you another study here in a moment, but that helps tie that together too. But what happens is, in our brains, is when we consistently see somebody day after day, or month after month, or week after week, or whatever it is, they start to take up space in our brains, and we start to form a relationship with them. There was a survey that was done by Reader's Digest back in 2007, and it asked 1,000 people, or whatever it was, who are the most trusted people in America. Okay, so this was 2007. If you can think back to then, that's now 19 years ago. Oh my gosh! But if you could think all the way back to then, who would you come up with as someone who'd be so trusted in 2007? Right. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you the top three. Number one was Tom Hanks. Number two was Sandra Bullock, and number three was Denzel Washington. Now, why is that important for our conversation today, anyway? The reason why I find that so important is because I would all but guarantee that every single one of those 1,000 people surveyed never actually met Tom Hanks, never actually spent time with Sandra Bullock, or went out to dinner with Denzel Washington.
Mhm.
And yet they see them as trusted authority figures in America. Why? Well, because they are consistently, if you look at the movies, then if you look at like what they were doing in the public eye, they were constantly in their ears, on their TV screens, on the computers. They were showing up in all these places. And so a relationship was formed. It's why so many people lose their minds when they see that celebrity that they love for the first time. And what happens is they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's Taylor Swift. Like, I need to go say hi, Taylor, hi. Like, we know them on a first name basis. And yet, if you think about it from the perspective of Taylor Swift or Tom Hanks or anybody else, they have absolutely no idea who you are. That's what marketing can accomplish for you. It's this idea of a one-to-many relationship that feels like one-to-one. That's what's happening to your prospect. That's what's happening to your clients. And so when you use this formula and combine those two things together, that's the effect that you can have. So how does a magazine fit into this spectrum? Well, the reality is you're here. You have a business. You've done this. You have clients who you should be staying in contact with. You have people on your list and people that you know of who you want to be in contact with because, you know, it's getting you into the next level or a new demographic or whatever it may be. And so this level of trust and what we're working through is helping to establish you as somebody they can trust at the next level beyond just that client level. And one of the studies that I wanted to show you here to kind of tie this all together, and then I'll pass it off to Bjorn to talk more about the magazine itself, is a study done back in the late 60s by a Polish psychologist. And he came up with what he calls the mere exposure effect. And essentially what it says is that people are more inclined to like something, to trust something, to prefer something, to choose something based solely off of the fact that they have seen it more than anything else. The number of exposures that they had impacted something that they liked more than if they didn't. So I'll give you an example. Like he had random images, he'd have Chinese characters, English letters, like, and so it was things that people recognized and were familiar with. But then he would show like the Chinese symbols multiple times, where he'd show the other ones far less frequently. And inevitably, every time, what people would do is they would choose the Chinese symbol because they tended to prefer it over the other ones because of how much they were exposed to it. So again, taking all these principles of building relationships and trust and everything else is why something like this magazine, something that has your picture, something that's customizable, something that can say to your clients that you exist, that you're an authority, that they matter to you, right? They made your short list. And so you can make their short list when it's time to be able to refer. So, so Bjorn, yeah, I'd love to hear from you a little bit of, you know, what's involved in this magazine, what sets it apart,
Sure.
and where we can kind of help these guys out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for going through that. I think that does a really good job of setting the table. I was thinking about this mirror effect and wondering, like, comfort food, right? Like,
Mm.
comfort food's not always the food that, like, it's not my best meal I've ever had, right? But it's the food that I probably eat most frequently and have good memories of from, you know, from the day, or good things. So, like, I don't know if that correlates or not, but that's what I was thinking about when maybe it's because it's lunchtime. Anyways. So let me get into retiring well. So everyone, thank you so much for being interested in this magazine. It's a really cool solution to all the things that Zach was talking about. And just a couple of the main things that I would reference about retiring well. It's got really, really engaging content. And when I say really engaging content, it's not content that is about financial services. It is not content that is all about real estate. It's not content. It is general interest content that is specifically and purposefully designed for individuals who are in that 50 to like 70, 75 window, right? So someone who's not there at retirement yet, someone who is in retirement, and someone who's actively been in retirement. So that's the content. It's evergreen content. It's this example here is talking about Arizona. It doesn't mean that everyone has to be in Arizona in order to be interested in that publication or that content. It is all about helping someone, you know, read things about opportunities that they might engage in retirement or might experience in retirement. The second and third thing it really provides you is this personal branding and the customization options. So Zach was talking about the mirror effect and continuously being seen and having your picture on the front of that publication is critically important, because it's reminding the customer of who you are. It's reminding that client, this is who I am. I'm seeing you again. I'm seeing you again. I'm seeing you again. I'm seeing you, and I'm becoming more familiar. And my belief in you and your likability is going up, even though you haven't even said anything, right? You're just seeing the picture again over and over and over in the mailbox. You also have a page on the inside front cover to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. It's the editor's letter. I don't have it pictured here, but it's the editor's letter. You can talk about something personal to you, maybe a vacation you went on, maybe a charity that you're involved with, maybe some service project that's going on that you wanted to talk about. And what that's doing is it's humanizing you as the individual service provider and the sponsor of the publication. So you're providing a human touch. We didn't touch at all about AI today, which I think is a whole nother fascinating story, and how that AI might play into some of those studies that Zach was talking about and how they might help or hurt. But then you also have the inside back cover to do anything that you want with, and then the back cover as well. So there's 4 pages of customization that kind of surround all of the content. And then right in the middle of the magazine are these retirement stories. And I'm going to talk a little bit about these retirement stories in a second. I'll give you a little bit more detail on them. But I want to talk a little bit about getting something from the mailbox to the home, into the home, right? So there's this thing that happens. You go to the mailbox, is usually at the end of your sidewalk or end of your driveway or what have you. And as you're walking back from the mailbox, what are you inevitably doing? You are looking at the pieces of mail and you're deciding in your head, which pieces of mail am I throwing away and which pieces of mail am I keeping, right? Everyone's done that. I know everyone's done that. People may do it using different tools, right? I've seen studies where people look at the postage, right? If it's standard mail, if it's first class mail, if it's express mail, like, so those things can signal importance. But it's also just like, it could be just like how it appears. Does it appear glossy? Glossy tends to make it look like it's sales material, which tends to get thrown in the trash. Credit card offers, privacy policies. Most people are not reading privacy policies. They're not going into their mailbox and saying, you know what, let me go inside and read this privacy policy. Maybe they should, but they're probably not. All those things we consider junk mail, right? And those are going in the trash. They're going in the trash. That decision got made before it even got to the front door. On the other hand, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it onto that kitchen table. We're trying to get it onto that kitchen counter, that coffee table. What's going there? Greeting cards, maybe some bills and some statements. If you subscribe to a magazine, government notices, things like that. So our first thing that we're doing with the magazine and having your name on it and having it, have a high quality cover, is we're trying to get it from the mailbox and get it actually into the house. Because if it's not in the house, it's not going to get read. So let me talk about these retirement stories that's in the middle of the publication. They are all about profiling individuals or couples in their retirement process. How did they decide what to do in retirement? How did they decide what they wanted to do together in retirement? Most couples or most people who are in a partner relationship, they spend all this time accumulating wealth, working hard to enjoy retirement. And then they get close to that point, and guess what they haven't talked about? They haven't talked about what retirement actually looks like. And so that's part of what we're doing here with these retirement stories, is helping to frame what retirement might look like, give people a framework of how they could think about it. We are not talking about any of the financial aspects of retirement. So we're not talking about how to save, how much you can withdraw, what's a safe withdrawal rate. We're not talking about annuities or life insurance or ETFs or options or whatever the financial strategies that will allow someone to live that retirement life. We are talking about helping them see what retirement might look like, because you as the financial advisor, or you as the real estate agent, or you as the mortgage broker are going to be the one who's going to help with the financial aspects of making that happen, right? So that's the whole idea there. Now the awesome part comes, and this is the part that I'm really excited about, because this is the first publication that I'm aware of in the industry that allows you to customize the inside those 4 pages of the retirement story. So our other magazines, like Essential Living magazine or Escapes and Experiences or our new Spanish language magazine, Colección Esencial, they all have customizations that happen on the outside, and Retiring Well now has additional customization options within these retirement stories. Now, you could do nothing. You could do no customization. You could just leave the retirement story as is, totally fine. You could put branding on every page. You could put branding on one full page, or you could say, you know what, I don't even want to do the retirement stories. I want to stay focused on my own thing, and I'm going to customize all 4 pages myself. You can do any one of those 4 options, totally up to you. Give you an example of what that looks like. If you're branding every page, that first page provides you an option to put your photo in there to, again, remind the customer what you're looking like, that familiarity. I like you more. I see you. I like you more. The second and third pages just have that brief information at the bottom. And then the 4th page, again, has the branding with the full picture. This next option is the full branding sample where it's a full page at the end. So pages 1 through 3 have the content, and then page 4, whatever full page you wanted to do. You can talk about, you could have it be an offer. You could have it be, just a brand. You could talk about one of your clients. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. But that you have a full page. So how do you use it? So I just want to tell everyone how to use it and maybe how not to use it. So first of all, pick 35 to 50 clients, not prospects. We don't encourage people to use this as a prospecting tool. I'm going to tell you why in a second. So 35 to 50 of your clients. Second thing you need to do, you need to commit to calling your recipients. Doesn't have to be every time, doesn't have to be every one, but you have to be committed to making some phone calls. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. You got to send it on a regular basis. Don't be a one and done. And then we always encourage people to customize whenever they can. But here's how you're going to use it. Okay. Send out the magazine to Jill. You're going to wait until a week after Jill, they hit the mailboxes, and you're going to call Jill. Hey, Jill, hope you saw the magazine. What did you think of it? Have that conversation, and then ask the question. Hey, do you know 2 or 3 of your friends who would be interested in this kind of retirement content that I should send the magazine to? Now, you're asking for someone to talk to, but you're not asking for a person to sell. And so you've brought down the level of defenses that maybe that client Jill has in giving you the names. So you're just asking for names that you can send a magazine to. Now you're going to wait another month, and then you're going to take step 2. And step 2 is I'm going to call Bruce, who Jill referred me to and told me to send the magazine. And I'm going to call Bruce, and I'm going to say, hey, Bruce, your friend Jill is a client of mine, and she suggested that I send you this Retiring Well magazine. I was calling to make sure that you received it in the mail. Inevitably, there's going to be questions that are going to be asked, right? Like, so what do you do? What do you do for Jill? Jill's a client of yours. What kind of stuff do you do? And now you can start to build that relationship. So we brought that temperature down. It's not a sales call. It's just hey, did you get my magazine? Because Jill told me to send it to you. And you also have some transference of trust there from Jill because she gave you the name, right? So we think that's a really critical way of using it. I want to say this before I give you my irresistible offer. This is the disclaimer, right? Anything that we do, always make sure it goes through your ad review department or your compliance department. We don't want to get anyone in trouble. So make sure that all the words that are being used are correct and everything like that. So full stop there. Make sure everyone understands that. And then I'm going to give you my best offer. And this is my irresistible offer. So for people who are on this call, the setup fee is going to be reduced to $26. Usually it's $2.99. We're bringing it down to 26 cents just because of 2026. That's the only upfront dollars that you spend is when you sign up. Everything else happens when the magazine is mailed, and that price per copy is $4.99 for your first 4 issues. That's $1 off our normal selling rate. So normally the magazine is $5.99 per issue. We're doing it for $4.99 an issue. The minimum number of copies is just 35. So 30. I know everyone in here has 35 clients that they should be connecting with on a regular basis, and it's up to you how often you want to do it. You can do it bi-monthly, you could do it quarterly, totally up to you. And then the best part is the contract is never, right? We don't do contracts. If you get two issues in or 3 issues in and you say, you know what, hey Zach, hey Bjorn, I don't want to do this anymore. This doesn't make sense for my business, or some things come up. No harm, no foul. We can stop right away and end it right there. We're not putting you into a contract that requires you to do it for the next 2 years or what have you.
One thing I would add to that, Bjorn. So I know a lot of times what I'll hear is like, oh, I'm not getting any response. I'm not getting any feedback for this. And so I think it's really important to point out here that, I get a magazine for my real estate agent. Okay. And the first time that I got one, I actually was happy. It felt like a gift. And I'm in the business. Like I know it, right? I know that how this works, but I got the magazine, I saw her, and it was just kind of like, wow, like I made the short list. I feel really valuable. I'll tell you what I didn't do though. I didn't pick up the phone and I didn't call her and I didn't thank her
Mhm.
for sending me a magazine. And I didn't do it the next month when the next one came either, right? It's not, but I can tell you, one, I'm talking about her right now. And two, I've used this example before. And three, like when I think about a real estate agent, she's the first person or second person that pops up into my brain.
Sure.
Right. Like, and again, I'm in the industry and like, it's just like, I can't help it. It's the way it works. So understanding how it works and what you're looking for too is also really important, but this is a great deal.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you don't have to make phone calls to everybody. If you don't need to make any phone calls. Just recognize people aren't going to pick up the phone and say, "Hey Zach, I got the magazine. Just wanted you to know," or "Hey John, I got the magazine. Just wanted you to know." That's not what they're going to do. That's just not normal customer behavior. Not saying you might have. You might have some
Some do.
weirdos in your
Some
client
do.
base. So my last thing I like to end on here is, are you ready to take action? Right? Because you've sat through a half hour. I hope you've learned something. I hope it's been informative. I hope you've gotten something out of this. But like Tony Robbins has a take action philosophy, right? And it's commit to doing just a tiny step right away. Don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis. Don't try to figure out, okay, well, which 50 am I going to send to, or which 35 am I going to send to? I got to figure that out before I do anything. You don't have to do that. And the worst thing that you can do is to sit through a webinar and learn something, take in that knowledge and not do anything with it, right? So look, even if you don't do anything with us, totally fine, but take some action, and just the smallest step is all it needs to get started. And that's where I'm going to put this right here. This is the first action that I would implore you and ask you to take. There's no obligation. Scan this QR code. This QR code will get you to a Calendly link to one of our marketing coaches who then can walk you through and talk about, should it be 35? Should it be 40? Should it be 50? Like, what do you want to put in there? How much work do you want to put in? Do you want it to just be, on its own and have it run and not do a lot of customizations? Or do you want to come in and do customizations every single issue? It's totally up to you, but that marketing coordinator will be able to help you make that happen, and this QR code will get you there. And I'll also put the link in the chat here as well. So there's, again, take an action. Even if it's not with us, take an action with someone, and just take that. Our action and that we're asking for is just schedule that first meeting, and get started in that way.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, Bjorn. And thank all of you for joining us. I mean, hopefully you found some valuable information in there. Schedule a call, get those questions answered. And then if you don't, or whatever reason, have an issue with it, you can always email us too, and we'll be happy to help you out. Even better, there's the link.
Awesome. Yeah, there, I got it in the chat. So here's what we'll do. We'll keep this up. We'll keep the chat open for a couple 5 minutes or so. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining, and we hope to see you again in the future. Thanks, Zach.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Bjorn.